Okay, now just waiting for more people to join the live session. Oh, 6 people just joined. So welcome to the live session, everyone. This is Becky's 2023 year-end sketch party. I'm going to turn on my start video right now. Yeah, it's the first time that I'm connecting Zoom with YouTube. All right. Okay, so happy holidays, everyone. So I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, celebrating and gathering, reuniting with your family and loved ones. Cool. I think I'm going to turn the light on. It's actually an overcast day here in Vancouver. We're in the rain season. So I'm going to turn the my lamp on so it looks brighter behind me. Okay, now I'm just going to connect to my YouTube here on my iPad so I can keep track of all the comments. There we go. 20 people just joined. Okay, let me just stay. I'll be with you very soon. Yeah, hello. So in the chat box, so feel free to share about where you're from. I know you're from all over the world. All right, I see Kat is from Russia. Welcome. Must be really late in Russia. And thank you for joining so late at night. Kat is saying happy holidays. Lou, hello, happy holidays. Nick is saying hello. Yeah, all right. Season's greetings to all the viewers here now joining the live session. Okay, now let's get started. I'm just gonna put my iPad here on the side. Let's begin with a very quick sketchbook tour before I start the sketch demo. Okay, here we go. We'll go full screen. And I'm gonna move the cake a little bit. I'm just gonna copy and paste the reference photos in the chat box. All right, very soon in the next few minutes. Now let's start with the sketchbook tour. So this is my current sketchbook. I'm just gonna pull my other screen off from here. Oh, here we go. Remove pin. The pin my sketch demo page here. Here we go. All right. So we have a full screen view of my sketchbook page. So the sketchbook I'm using right now is the Etchers brand Everyday Sketchbook. All right. As you can see, it has a nice canvas cover, but it gets dirty very easily. There's a lot of paint stains on here already because the cover is perfectly white canvas. It has a really nice, cute little stitch of a llama Etchers logo sign there. All right, so I started this sketchbook on December the 5th, which is about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And I always love to add a nice little title here for the very first page of my sketchbook. Okay, so this is my style of art journaling. So I love to, incorporate both food and drinks and everyday items with a little landscape. Usually the views outside my bedroom or living room windows. All right, this is a very typical kind of a cold, icy winter days view outside my reading room window. So we had first snow around December the 5th here in Vancouver, but it went away really quickly because it's usually pretty warm in Vancouver in winter. It's barely freezing point that day. So yeah, we just had a little bit of snow and the temperature went back to above freezing point. So the snow was gone the next day. All right, and a lot of cafe sketches. Cool. Let's just check the comments here. There's also people from Portland, Oregon, Singapore, Akemi, welcome. Britta from Germany, welcome. And also Swiss Life lady here from Switzerland. Yes, welcome everyone. There's also about like a, 15-minute buffering between Zoom here and also YouTube. Okay, so if I'm saying something like so late, that means I just saw your comment. There's a bit of buffering between Zoom and the YouTube live. Okay, all right, a lot of cafe sketches that I'm doing these days because it's the rain season here in Vancouver. We can barely see blue sky. during the week. Okay, so a lot of grays, but I try to make the grays interesting by playing with the different values from light to dark. The bit of moody kind of atmosphere, sketching a lot of people these days. All right, another cafe sketch done earlier this month, okay, at the Analog Cafe in Yaletown, Vancouver. Daily snippet sketches. Views outside. This one is snowy view outside my reading room window. This house I have sketched over and over again over the past 10 years. All right, and my style is always evolving, sketching this same view. All right, and also Dudu looking at the snow and the dogs of our neighbors playing outside in the courtyard. Yeah, first time sketching a Dudu of his non-napping pose. Okay, and the next page, more cafe sketches. All right. And this one was done with my Sunday virtual sketch class on Zoom about 2 weeks ago. Just a really ordinary house in my neighborhood with these cute holiday decorations. Flipping through to the next page, a really festive cafe sketch with a lovely Christmas tree, some customers having a good time together, my cup of coffee, and a little muffin. Okay, going through next page. Daily snippet sketches with Dudu here, snuggling up in his little bed, and 2 new packages of tea, and the overcast sky outside my window. So I love playing with these purplish, bluish grays for cloudy or overcast skies. Okay, they're not water mixed with black. To me, they're usually a really lively gray, bluish or purplish, rather than mixing water into black. Okay, next page. Another cafe sketch right over here. And another one here. I'm trying to sketch more people these days, especially seniors, because I feel like seniors, they have a lot of life stories hidden behind their appearances. Okay, so these 2, I believe they're Jewish from their conversations. Okay, and also Christmas high tea with my mom somewhere in Vancouver. It's a really lovely little tea house, and it was very busy on that day. A lot of people were like reuniting with their relatives or friends and exchanging gifts. So yeah, it was a fun event that day. And a holiday page sketch done with my Sunday class, sketching Dudu together, and this artificial spinning Christmas tree from Costco with Disney characters, which is really, really sweet to display. All right. And then next page, some more cafe sketches. Heritage buildings outside this lovely cafe in New West, and my little lunch. Some more Dudu. Yeah. It's kind of a little bit tricky to sketching cats when their eyes are open up, right? Oh, they're just looking at you, just like a tiger or a lion. And finally seeing a bit of sunset, beautiful sunset colors at the end of the day on December 22nd. Beautiful fancy clouds, and it was a mix of bluish grays for the shade of the clouds, and my little afternoon treat right there. Okay, so quickly flipping through, and I'm going to go to the demo. The more cafe sketches before Christmas. The cafe was really quiet on December 22nd. And heritage buildings in New Westminster. I'm sure you have seen this little reel video on my YouTube channel. Making a lot of little reel videos these days on my Instagram. Sorry, on my Instagram. And some little sketches. This page is incomplete. I'm probably gonna sketch some little sceneries outside my windows above to finish up this page. And I did this little sketch for my Instagram live earlier this week. And my most recent cafe sketch on Wednesday, December the 27th. I still got so inspired to sketch some festive stuff like their Christmas tree and these fancy bowls displayed on the high table there at the cafe. And yeah, a cup of caramel macchiato and a blueberry scone. And these 2 girls, they stayed all the way through during my sketch session, which lasted for about 1 hour and 20 minutes or so. Yeah, they were engaged and really into their own worlds. So they didn't really seem to notice my action of sketching them. All right, so this one was super fun to do. And these houses up on the slope. So outside the streetscape is actually up the slope. There's a car repair shop over here in the front. And these houses are on higher land of the slope, okay, of the street. There we go. And now let's go to, this is very much how much I've filled so far since December the 5th. Okay, yeah, I still have 2/3 of this sketchbook to fill up before it's done. Now, let's move on and we're gonna check the comments. All right, there's a lot of people from Germany, Arizona, USA, and also Elizabeth is saying the cat's name mean. Dudu is mean, that doesn't mean too much. It's actually from Chinese. Dudu is just a really cute little name for a lot of animals like cats and dogs. Okay, all right. And Miss Lulu is saying good afternoon, everyone. Live streaming. Okay. There, yes, I did a live about a couple years ago. I don't do live very often. All right, but I do teach live classes every weekend on Zoom. Okay, to people all over the world. If you're interested, you can check out the link on my Instagram page. I'm just gonna share at the end of the live session today. Okay, welcome everyone. Now I'm gonna grab my other sketch pad, which is I usually use for the demos. For the little demo today, I'm gonna use the Canson watercolor paper. Okay, so it's made into a little pad of 30 sheets of paper. Okay, you can find this very much everywhere at any art supply store or online on Amazon. 30 sheets. The paper size is 7 inches by 10 inches. The paper weight is 140 pounds or 300 GSM, which is pretty heavy. Okay, for many layers of washes. So I really recommend you to use watercolor paper. Okay, make sure it's real watercolor paper, and the weight is 140 pounds. It's the most ideal. All right, now I'm gonna flip to a new page. And it's just showing you some of the pages from my live classes on Zoom on the weekends. So some of you may not know that I do teach classes virtually live on Zoom every weekend. It's been very much 2 years already. I don't do a lot of advertising. I just do it very quietly. So here, so this one, these are the beginners exercises on Saturdays. And yeah, a lot of beginners exercises over here. And then we do a little sketchy project of an object or a little scenery. Yeah, this one was done with my Saturdays beginners class on October the 7th after some warm-up exercises. This one was like a really elaborated sketch done with my beginners class. I think somewhere in the middle of October this year after my trip to New York City. All right, so it was like super fun one with my beginners class. All right, the beginners class is not super duper easy, like boringly easy. Sometimes I like to be a little elaborated, and all of the references are from my own life experiences, like the places that I've been to, the food that I really enjoy. Okay, rather than random photos from the internet. Yeah, all of these are things that I really enjoy, that I bought, part of my life that I want to share with you through these live sessions and those virtual classes. Okay, now I'm gonna flip to, there are too many pages to show. I think I'm gonna stop now and start the demo. Okay, I'm gonna put this sheet of paper right in the middle. I'm gonna share with you the reference photo, all right? Here's the link to the reference photos. I'm gonna copy. And paste. I'm gonna paste the reference photo into our chat box. There we go. So I just posted the link, which is on Dropbox. Okay, a Dropbox folder with 2 reference photos. So one is the strawberry cream cake. The other one is just a pretty ordinary evening sky outside my reading room window. I'm just gonna try to click it. Yeah, I think it works. So you're gonna see a folder with 2 reference photos that I just shared in the chat box. Let me know if you can't access the folder. Okay, now let's get ready. The first thing we're gonna sketch today is that strawberry cake, which looks really happy and festive with the red strawberries and the syrup shining, covering the top part of the cake. Okay, cool. I'm gonna sip my tea. Well, some of you, if you want to follow along, you can go click the link to the reference photo to look at it from another digital tablet. If you want to follow along, you could use the reference photo. And I'm going to start with the strawberry cake. All right, so the materials for the drawing process is very, very straightforward. I know we do always have some beginners joining these live classes. And so I like to start with a pencil conceptual layout, as always. Okay, yeah. Just to understand the lines, the shapes, the 3-dimensionalities of the thing that we're sketching. So I'm going to start with the cake, which is right in front of me over here. I'm going to bring it close to the screen. Here we go. Ooh. Okay, from my grocery store in the neighborhood. We're going to start with this. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. So what we are seeing right now is a pretty big rectangular prism with a slice of cube cut off from the corner. I'm going to start with the prototype of the cake. Okay, so it is obviously a rectangular prism. I'm going to start with the top. Okay, now let me see from here. Yeah, I'm just going to use this one. If we have time, we're going to do the evening view outside my reading room window. Let's just focus on the cake right now. I know a lot of people love to see me sketching food and drinks. All right, so I'm going to start with the top of the cake. So this part. These 2 lines are very much parallel. Okay, and same as these 2 long lines here in the front and also in the back. They're very close to parallel. So here we have a trapezoid for the top view of the cake where the strawberries are landing on. Okay, now I'm going to figure out the body part of the cake, which is pretty thick. Okay, so this one is just one vertical leg. This is the same idea for drawing a table. It's just somehow I feel like it's always easier to start from the top of that table or anything that's in the shape of a rectangular prism. And I'm going to figure out these 3 corners or legs of a table. And I'm going to connect these legs together with these bottom slanting lines, which are just very much parallel to the one above it. Okay, and same with this side here on the bottom right. Yeah, very much a parallel line to the one above. Okay, let's just figure out the prototype of the cake. Let's check out more comments here. A lot of people. Hi, Tony from Japan, I believe. Sonia. Yeah, that's great. There's also Ulrich from Italy. Welcome, everyone. It's working fine. Yeah, downloads are functional. Great. Okay. Cool. All right. So welcome to the live session. We have about 70 people watching. Very cool. Thank you for your enthusiasm. Okay, now I'm gonna start, figuring out this cube that's being sliced off from the cake. This is how I figure it out. And I'm gonna have a really fun dissection of the cake where we can see the 4 layers in the middle. This is so much like a game, okay? So parallel, 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 and parallel here. Let's just cut it off from here. You can expand it if you think your cube is a little too small, all right? That's what the pencil stage is for. Yeah, I think it's a little bit small. So I want to expand this cube a little bit bigger. Over here, vertical line. Right over here. Okay, so this is the part that's being sliced off. And then I'm going to start some erasing. So during the drawing process, especially this conceptual stage, it's very important to use your imagination a little bit. Okay, let's slice it off. Because the cream and all the strawberries and the syrup on top is very distracting for us to really identify the three-dimensionality of this area. Yeah, so roughly, it is a cube chopped off from the corner of the cake. Now, let's just erase these lines that we don't need anymore. Okay, so these lines are the ones that are still that we can see. Now, I'm going to draw the inner dissection area of the cake, starting with these. So now we have trail of vertical lines here. So 1, 2, 3. I want to figure out this angle. Yeah, very much a parallel line to the one above it. Okay, so we get a diamond shape on the left and same for the right. Okay, now here we go. Now that this cake looks really 3D, we have a mirror image of 2 diamonds for the dissection area of the cake. And now I want to figure out the layers. This one is the puffy cream on top. So I'm going to draw one extra. This is the white cream. And same for the right side. Okay. This is the actual cake's body area. So we have layers. Here is the yellowish cake itself, and then in between these 2 layers we have cream. Here, this thin layer in the middle is the cream. The right side is starting to bend this way. Yeah, very much a mirror image of the left side. Okay, so let's figure this out. This part is the higher elevation because we have the puffy whipped cream. And then I'm going to expand. Yeah, this part of the whipped cream is nice and wide. Yeah, let's figure out the border of the whipped cream lace on top of the cake after your dissection area. And this part is looking pretty narrow, and because there's so much syrup covering most of the lace here. Okay, so this is the border. Something like that. This is very conceptual. Okay, these are not the final lines of the cake. Okay, so now I'm gonna this part is gonna be the puffy, syrupy area with the strawberries. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 2 here. There are 3 here. 1, 2, 3 here in the back row. And they're pretty big half strawberries. Let's figure these out. 1, 2. Yeah, so this live session is very much in the same structure as my Saturdays and also Sundays sketch classes live on Zoom every weekend. Okay, so this part is the 3rd strawberry over here. So we have 3 pieces of strawberry on top of the cake. This one is actually overlapping on top. So I'm going to erase this line over here. Yeah, they're overlapping each other a little bit. Okay, so now I want to divide the lace of the whipped cream into even smaller units. So right now it's just a frame wrapping around the strawberries. So I see 4 units here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are about 2 units here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 here in the front, 4 segments. And then 2 here in the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is like his first step of seeing before drawing all those details, like the swirls of whipped cream. Okay, just lay these out. And the pattern of the whipped cream might be a little tricky, but it's okay to me. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, they're going like this way. Opening up. Okay, kind of like little fingers. And same for here. This one is actually a little bit higher. There we go. So that's the pattern of the whipped cream lace surrounding. Yeah, same as here. And it's going to be all the same for these ones, for these little units. So I'm not going to do that too much with pencil. Let's improvise with our fine liner pens. Okay, so now, and the texture on the outside of the cake is actually covered with coconut. These are actually little coconut bits. We're going to summarize the texture very loosely with gentle pressured lines using our waterproof fine liner pen. So now let's kind of adjust the roundness of the cake because these areas are too pointy. So make it a little bit rounder. Yeah, same for here. The contour outline of the cake is very loose. This part is really puffy. Here we go. I think that's very much it for the conceptual layout. If you want to include the tray to support the cake, that'll be great. So it's another rectangle that we see from perspective. So 1 and 2. So yeah, again, these 2 lines are very much parallel to one another for the tray. In the front, this one is a very long one. It's very much parallel to the bottom of the cake. Okay, so yeah. And this one is mostly hidden behind the cake. Parallel, very much parallel. Okay. Let's get this in, and it has round corners. There we go. And on the inside, we have a lot of these parallel lines, actually smaller rectangles. When we're looking at rectangles from an angle, we actually see a trapezoid. Okay, so this whole tray and also the top of the cake is that kind of like a trapezoid and not a perfect rectangle anymore. There we go. I think that's the pencil conceptual layout. All right. The link is working fine. And most viewers, so there's about 80 people watching now. Cool. I'm going to sip my tea. And we're all ready to go with the fine lining work. Make sure you're using a waterproof pen. It doesn't have to be a fountain pen that I'm using right now. So the pen I'm using over the past 6 months or so is the Sailor's brand. Let's just draw it a little closer here. Yeah, it's the Sailor's brand Few Day fountain pen. So Few Day, it means the nib of the fountain pen is bent. So this one is actually bent at a 45-degree angle. They have another Few Day fountain pen from Sailor's that's bent at 55-degree angle that you can create even thicker calligraphic lines. Okay, so this one, yeah, this one is pretty good. 45 degrees bent nib. So you're able to use various angles holding the pen and different hand pressures to create different line weights and shapes. Okay, it's very fun to draw with. The Few Day fountain pen is very popular and they're selling a lot on Amazon. Okay, I'm going to turn this off a little bit. Now let's start fine lining. Yeah, if you think it's too fast for you to follow along, that's okay. The recording of this live session is going to be saved forever here on my YouTube channel. So if you're late or if you think it's too fast for you to follow along, you can just use the recording to finish up your work. Okay, now I'm ready to draw with my fine liner pen, which is a fountain pen. The ink inside is from Noodlers, the Noodlers brand, brown, number 41. Okay, so now I'm all ready to start drawing this yummy chunk of cake. Okay, now I'm gonna start with the left side because I'm right-handed. It's always convenient for me to draw from left to right this way. So left to right. Okay, now I'm gonna start with the contour outline of the cake that I see over here, with a little bit of the slices of the whipped cream. Yeah, this one is very, very inky. And I'm gonna start with the curve of the whipped cream here in the back. Okay, there we go. Just gonna get these fun little shapes in. The little short swirls of the whipped cream. There we go. Here in the back. These two are going in the same direction. They were squeezed in the same direction, and these ones are going towards us. Okay, and some more swirls. And what I see is getting lower and lower. Okay, well, 80 people in the live session now. Welcome, everyone. I'm gonna drink a little bit more of my tea. Yeah, so when drawing something pretty complicated like this, it's okay to start with pencil to figure out the 3D shapes and all the medium and small units before you do your fine lining work. A lot of sketchers that I know, they do it this way. They don't always draw directly with their ink pen. Especially when they're teaching, it's really hard for people to follow along if we start teaching, drawing directly with the fine liner pen. Okay, and now I'm just gonna figure out this part of the whipped cream lace. It's going this way, so kind of really trust what you see with all of these little curves going up and down along the border. Yeah, there we go. Some of it's not in perfect shapes because, you know, cream, they kind of like change shape after a few hours. Okay, so that's the border. So now I really want to figure out these 4 units of whipped cream here in the front. One, two, yeah, just kind of follow these lovely little shapes over here. Okay, so that's a puff. They're kind of like flowers, flower petals. And some more over here. Yeah, my fountain pen is very juicy on this paper. There we go. They're kind of just like little flower buds. And the last little one over here. And this is the cut of the cream over here. There's a little chunk that I see, a little square over here. Okay, so now I'm ready to figure out the contour outline over here. It's not a straight line, it's curving this way and that way because we have the coconut chips covering all over the exterior of the cake. Yeah, and again, we don't have an even line. You kind of have to follow the ups and downs of these little chips of coconut. Yeah, and it's okay to have shaky lines for sure. You need shaky lines to depict the texture of the cake. There we go. Another shaky line going vertically. Okay, so now the next step is to get this part in. The syrup is overflowing. Kind of what I see right now is it's not exactly the same as the reference photo, because now the syrup is overflowing. Yeah, there we go. And then we see some more of this chunk of whipped cream on the right side. Okay, a lot of abstract shapes. This one is kind of like a piece of cloud. Yeah, and the swirl, folding. Yeah, and this part is a little bit smashed by the cut of the knife, by the blade of the knife, a little smashed, so no perfect shapes. Okay, now gonna get the right side of the cake. Again, you can have bumpy lines. Don't worry about making a perfect straight line. There shouldn't be. It should be bumpy. There we go. Okay, so now let's figure out the inner lines of the cake. Yeah, again, it should be a little bit bumpy because of the cake's texture, spongy texture. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna just do the layers that we can see from this dissection. Corner over here. Yeah, this is the inner corner. And then in between the top and bottom layer, we have the whipped cream. Yeah, the lines are very uneven, but they're roughly following these straight lines that we did with pencil, okay? This shouldn't be just a perfect trace over your pencil conceptual lines, but it should be, yeah, roughly following. Yeah, all of these are kind of shaky, following the loose texture of the cream and also the spongy texture of the cake. Okay, let's get this figured out. This is also the cream, the white cream here on the side. Okay. Thank you for your patience watching. We'll have more and more people join the live session. 83 watching now. You know what? I think people here watching the live on YouTube is much more stable compared to those people on Instagram. Instagram is really like, I don't know. Most people are just like watching very short reel videos lasting only for 15 seconds. Okay. I feel like, people on here on YouTube, they're much more patient. They're able to watch videos like 15 to 20 minutes long, or even 1 hour or 2 hours or so. Yeah, thank you so much for your attention, everyone, and happy holidays. Okay, so now I'm ready to move on to the fun strawberry and syrupy area. Okay, I'm gonna use pretty loose lines, gentle hand pressure. But the strawberries are kind of like, the outlines are somewhat obstructed by the syrup. So this is the first toe that I see. Yeah, they're floating on top of the thick syrup. I get these, take it down, and this one is over here. Yeah, this is actually the outline of the syrup and not the strawberry itself. Okay, and this is kind of, I see the strawberry is sinking down into the cream here. There we go. So, yeah, so we should have 5 chunks of strawberries on top of the cake. Okay, so now I'm gonna flip my fountain pen to this side. Okay, so this is the usual way that we use a fountain pen, is just to have this golden side facing us. Okay, this is the front and the other side is the back. So when you flip your fountain pen to the back, you're able to create very thin lines. So I'm gonna get these highlights of the syrup in. Yep, there's a little spot of highlight. There's another one here. I can somewhat tell the outline of the strawberry under the thick syrup. There we go. There's another pretty big patch of a highlight. Yep, and same for here. It's very spontaneous. Just add in these lines and little patches as you see. Okay, so these are good. Okay, there's one more here. And these lines are also kind of suggesting the roundness of the strawberry pieces somehow. Okay, so now I'm ready to add on the seeds of the strawberries. We're going this way, like in diagonal rows. Again, I'm still using the back side of my fountain pen nib to do these. Yeah, they're kind of like going in diagonal ways. 3, 4. And then folding inwards a little bit. Okay, for these strawberries. And I'm going to use paint to make sure they look very much like strawberries. Yeah, I'm going to do them very loosely as well. Yeah, so these rows of seeds are going in diagonal directions. Yeah, like these. And for this one, it's going this way, that way. Okay. So I have to envision these invisible diagonal lines that these seeds are laying on and just get these in. There we go. Just tiny little bubble shapes. Okay, there we got the texture for the top. Just gonna make sure the outline of the syrup is pretty strong. Everything is connected. Okay, so now I'm gonna use, I think I'm still gonna use the back of my fountain pen combined with the front to get the coconut chip texture in. These are very much like semicircles, loosely hanging onto the cream wall. Okay, something like this. Some of them could be like in full squarish shapes. I don't think they're circles. They're like in little squares. And then in between, we have these chips. Just kind of experiment with what our pens can do. And also the same pen, it works differently on different paper surfaces. So I feel like my fountain pen is so juicy on this Canson paper compared to my Etcher sketchbook because of the paper texture. Yeah, so some of the chip is a little bit bigger. Again, some of these could be in like full shapes. Other ones could be just a bracket. of a semicircle. Okay, there we go. And then some more under the edge of the cream. Yes, this side. It's so much fun. It's satisfying to fill in this area. Let's check more comments. On the sidebar, there's Lou and Roach. Hi everyone. Also Cindy and Yuna, Teresa, Josepher. Happy New Year. Yeah. From Ohio. And Kitty. Yes, welcome from Thailand. Well, there are people from all over the world, even in Asia. I know it's very late in countries in Asia. Thank you so much for your attention. And I'll get the textures in for these bits of coconut chips. So again, these are coconuts, not peanuts. At first I thought these are peanuts, but these are actually coconuts. Okay, I'll get these in. Okay, so yeah, I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. So Christmas here in Vancouver is pretty quiet. Okay, we do have Christmas decorations, the lights, and some neighbors have wreaths on their doors. We have lots of lights in the neighborhood and some Christmas decorations like snowman, Santa, reindeers, and sleigh, that kind of stuff on the lawns. Other than that, it's very quiet. Okay, gonna get this, the fluffy coconut texture in. I'm gonna figure out the texture for the inside, the dissection, the spongy texture of the cake a little bit with a few dots, tiny little curves for the spongy texture. Okay, cool. Again, we're doing this cake today as a virtual sampling. Yeah, I really hope you all can have a little slice of this cake. It's like virtual sampling. You can use your imagination to taste this cake. At the same time to celebrate the end of another year and the coming of a new year, 2024. Okay, so now I'm ready to get the tray in. And it has round corners. Okay, it's very much like enlarged rectangle seen from an angle, which is a trapezoid, larger than the top of the cake. Okay, so now I'm gonna get the depths of the tray in. Okay, so this is kind of like the depths of the cake is of the tray. It's very shallow. And this shows the sense of depth here on the exterior of the tray. This is the inner wall of the tray. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to use kind of like long broken lines to show these folds on the plastic package. Okay, so a lot of segments with gaps in between because plastic is always shiny and we can't really see a continuous line. Yeah, same for here. I'm gonna get these in. These are very much smaller and smaller rectangles towards the middle of the tray. Okay, here we go. Now I'm gonna accentuate on the bottom of the tray so it has a bit of weight here on the paper. We're trying to create illusion of 3D stuff on a flat 2D sheet of paper. Okay, and I will also accentuate on the bottom of the cake over here, just so it looks heavier. And also the shadow is part of the bottom outline of the cake, and that's why I see a very heavy outline here. Usually for most solid objects, the outline on the bottom edge is often very heavy. Okay, here we are. And then we're just gonna get a little bit accentuation for the strawberries. There we go. And a bit of shine on the edge of the tray. There's just so much details to see. Okay, here we go. And here on the corner, anywhere that you want on your paper, you might want to write down like a nice little caption if you want. Strawberry BE cream cake. Yeah, this is a really convenient way for me to draw these letters. Yeah, just have fun with lettering or any color graphic style that you like. Cake. There we are. Nice and loose. Okay, we're gonna buffer for like 30 seconds before moving on to painting watercolors. Yeah, we have some more people just joining the live session. 83. Yeah, it's very stable here for those people who are watching on YouTube. If you have any questions about materials or my sketching process, just let me know in the comment section. You can type anytime. Yeah, but Patty from Tennessee, Linda. Wow, and also Missy Lulu from Florida. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna start erasing these pencil traces. I think the sun is coming out right now. The blue sky is showing in between the clouds outside my window. Nice. I can feel the light of the day is getting brighter. Okay, just cleaning up my picture here. Just erase these pencil traces. And then let's just check out another comment here. I'm always looking at your comments. People from Thailand, from Greece, from most of you from USA, from the UK. Yeah, and I want to see a question from Missy Lulu. Oh, it's okay. And also another comment from this person here is called the mage, are familiar in their castle. Okay. How can you tell when you're spending too much time on the actual drawing? Thanks. Okay. How can you tell when you're spending too much time on the actual drawing? Usually when people are spending a lot of time on the actual drawing are actually beginners. They're not so sure of what they are drawing in terms of the three-dimensionality of the things. They're always trying to figure out. And yeah, a lot of beginners think the more details they draw, the more 3D the shape is going to look like. But it's actually not, okay? For like professional artists, they could use very minimal amount of lines on their drawing to make their thing already look very 3D with just a few lines, because they know the concepts of that 3D shape. For example, a rectangular prism over here. All we have to do is just maybe one, two, three, four, five, six, seven lines to define the 3D shape, and that's it. And not these chips of coconut. These are gonna come last. Okay, So when drawing, if you want to speed up a little bit, you always start with the largest shapes that you see, and then moving on from large shapes to medium shapes, and then smaller shapes and those details. Okay, always draw the largest shape that you see in the beginning, so you don't get caught up in details way too early and spending too much time on the drawing process. Yep. Oh, really? Okay. Missy Lulu. Okay, no worries. There are people from, also Magdalena's from Sardinia. Interesting. April. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, that's great. For me, it's just a very natural habit to talk through my thinking process when I'm sketching. And it's actually pretty hard for me to do chit chat when I'm sketching because it's totally off topic from what I'm doing. Yeah, it's hard for me to do chit chat when I'm sketching, but I have no problem talking through my thinking process. Okay, now I'm ready to paint watercolors. We're gonna have a lot of fun turning this cake from lines to colors, not just lines, but also shapes and colors using paint. See, so here that you will need just a small set of watercolor palette. This one I'm using right now is the Mondio. Okay, it's the Korean brand, and the price is very affordable. It's only 25 Canadian dollars on Amazon, and the colors are professional. Yes, as it says on the package, and also as I tested out over the past few years. Yeah, this brand, Mondio, is very affordable and is professional quality. Colors are very saturated, highly pigmented. Okay, yeah. And it contains 12 colors, but I added a few more from other brands. These two are from the Russian White Knight, which is another pretty famous brand. The Russian White Knight, full pans. These three actually, cobalt blue, yellow ochre, viridian green, from Russian White Knight, royal purple, and raw umber from Etcher. Okay, and the rest of the colors are Monyo. Okay, I'm gonna grab my water brushes. Again, for paint brushes, I like to use water brushes. And the Holbein water brushes are probably the best I've used so far over the past 11 years. Yeah, as you can see, the brand is Holbein, is made in Japan. Yeah, just like Sakura. Sakura water brushes and also Pentel water brushes are also made in Japan. Those two are actually pretty good too, but Holbein is my favorite. The water in the handle actually can last for a long time. The volume is actually higher here in the handle, the Holbein compared to Sakura. Sakura water brushes are very small and it doesn't hold very much water in the handle. And okay, now I'm gonna start with these two. Most of the time I just use two water brushes. The one with the orange cap is a large tip. The one with the green cap is the medium tip. Okay, I'm gonna start with a large tip for the overall wash. Time is always flying by fast when we're drawing and painting, especially when teaching. My teaching speed is always much slower compared to my independent drawing speed. Okay, because I want most people to catch up and also explain detail of what I'm thinking. Cool. So now I'm gonna start with the yellow areas. Okay, the spongy cake areas, like these four little chunks, and also the exterior with the coconut chips. Wet these areas with a little clear water. As you can see, the Noodler's ink is not 100% waterproof. Okay, it dissolves a little bit, but I don't mind. I like the feel that the soft brown ink is adding on to my painting, and it's not dissolving too much, just a little bit. Okay, yeah. If you want your Noodler's ink to be 100% waterproof, you might need to wait for maybe 20 minutes or so, or maybe longer. This is very much painting immediately after drawing. So yeah, the ink dissolves a little bit, but I don't mind it. Okay, I'm gonna start painting the first layer and check out the comments and section in the chat box. Okay, I'm gonna start with the yellows. The first color I'm gonna use is yellow ochre. Yeah. Okay. Bring this in, yellow ochre, and dilute it with quite a lot of water. Yellow ochre, maybe with a little bit of lemon yellow. Okay, just to get these in. Yeah, the spongy area is very light and fluffy. It's just not as dark as a muffin. Yeah. It's diluted yellow ochre and lemon yellow. To start off with. Okay, a very mild yellow. Yeah, and same for the coconut chips. I'm just gonna do a very quick general wash. I'm gonna do another layer on top of this when it's all dried for higher contrast, because I see orange browns on some spots of these coconut chips. I'm gonna start with diluted yellow ochre. Yeah, and my brush stroke is a little bit patchy. I'm holding my brush about 45 degrees to the paper, so I'm able to have larger chunks of brush marks rather than dots. If you're holding a brush 90 degrees, you're just creating tiny little dots, and it's very slow. If you hold your brush a little lower, like I don't know, 30 to 40 degrees on the paper, your brush mark is chunkier. And also, I always recommend you to start with a large tip water brush for the first layer of your painting. Okay. At the first layer, the creamy and the soothing look of the cake, inside and outside. Okay, and then my next step is to get in the first layer of the pink of the strawberry syrup and the strawberries wrapped up under the syrup. Just gonna wet these areas a little bit with clear water. I'm gonna start with the lightest value that I see, which is a pink color, not a solid red, okay? The solid red is gonna come after in the second and third layer. I still wanna grab some red over here and dilute it with a little bit of water. Make sure it's not way too dense. And then want to be mindful about these white highlight streaks and spots. I just skip around those areas. Yeah, this is a pretty diluted red, which is pink. And here we have white highlights. I'm just gonna skip it. And same for here. Just slow down a little bit and make sure we don't overpaint. These bright spots of highlights, just simply leave them white. Okay, and just fill these in. All right, gonna clean my brush. So every time you're grabbing a new color with a water brush, you always squeeze the handle. So the water is coming down to flush the brush tip before you switch to a new color. It's very easy to use a water brush if you practice a little bit, then it's much more convenient compared to a traditional paintbrush that you have to grab a water container all the time. Okay, so now I want to paint the first layer of the green tray. And I believe it's a super diluted lime green. Maybe it was a little bit lemon yellow. I think it's super diluted because it's plastic. If your green is too dense, it won't look so much like plastic. Okay, and again, I'm going to skim around some white patches of highlights, white patches and streaks. All right, and then a little bit more yellow, lemon yellow mixed with lime green. Start very lightly, especially when you're painting glass and plastic objects. Start with the lightest tone, and then gradually spice up the contrast with a darker and darker value on top. Okay, so this is the lightest tone that I see on the plastic green tray. I want to add a slightly heavier value for a little bit of contrast. So lime green with a tiny bit of viridian green. Now I'm going to do the wet onto wet. Let's switch to my medium tip water brush, just so it's easier to do these thin lines. Okay, I want to wait a little longer because I don't want the darker green value to fade out too much because the surface is still too wet. It's better to wait a little longer. As you can see, it's fading out. Now, meanwhile, I'm going to check the comment section. There's 90 people watching now. Wow. Thank you for your interest, everyone. I see Mickey there. Hi, Mickey. Yeah. It's nice to see your teaching skills live on YouTube. And there's Judith. Wow. And Mega Dose, the outsider artist. Yes, happy holidays. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you like this live video, you can click like and leave me a comment afterwards. So maybe more people on YouTube will see this live and live replay. Okay, cool. All right, so my next step is just to do wet onto moist of lime green and viridian green. Yeah, this technique is very similar to painting a green wine bottle. Gonna get these darker streaks in. A little bit of contrast. Just on the bottom of this ridge over here. So this part is actually of a higher elevation. On the bottom, there's like a shadow, and that's why I'm putting a darker streak of green just to push this one higher. Okay, just start adding this on. So we're creating a bit of shine for this plastic tray. It's not looking too dull anymore with just one value of green. Now we have two values of green. And I think it's pretty good. So now the next one is to shade it a little bit, especially along the bottom where we can see the shadow of the cake landing. So some more viridian green. Maybe a little bit of cobalt blue as you like. Just along the bottom part where the shadow of the cake is landing on. Okay, there we go, right over here. And I'm gonna clean my brush and start just smoothing this area. The shadow doesn't really have a hard edge landing on this plastic surface. Okay, and some more. Yeah, the shadow is very small under the cake. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the tray. So now I want to go back to rendering more values for the strawberry and the syrupy area. So red and a little bit of magenta kind of color. As you can see, this one is definitely a darker value of red compared to the first layer. Okay, so make sure when you're doing the second layer, it's clearly a different value compared to that first layer. So you have contrast and adding a feel of shine for the strawberry areas. Okay, very important. Yeah, same for the second strawberry over here. I want to preserve some of the areas from the previous layer unpainted. Yeah, so it looks really juicy. All right, and same for here. I'm just gonna clean my brush and start dragging, so it's blending. The first layer is already dried, so if it won't blend, it's okay. And clean your brush and just start dragging it. There we go, and skipping around. There's a pretty easy technique to show something that's shining. Step number one is to preserve some parts that's unpainted, just the white of the paper for the extreme highlights. Second step is that you need to have a very light value of the local color, for example, red. The lighter value is pink. And then the third step is to add on a darker value on top, okay, for the contrast. Okay, so now I'm ready to shade the puffy whipped cream area. So I think I'm gonna use a pretty interesting purplish gray rather than mixing water into black. So the shade on something white, for me, it's very, very rarely a neutral gray. Most of the time, it's actually a purplish gray. Then I like to use royal purple and cobalt blue. Like a purplish kind of gray. And I'm gonna just use a very diluted version. And then brush marks. Yeah, there we go. And then they're usually on the bottom half of these whipped cream clusters, okay? Like in between. I'm using purple because purple is very close to the shade color of red pink. And the color of the syrup and the strawberry is reflecting onto these white areas. So objects in the world, they're always interacting with each other, okay? They're projecting colors onto each other, especially a white surface. It's gonna catch a lot of colors from its environment. Yeah, a little bit of purplish gray over here. Oh, I think I forgot the syrupy area there. I'm just gonna shade the whipped cream first. Pretty diluted gray here. So none of these creamy areas are perfect paper white. I think except these edges facing the window on the top side. So these ones here in the dissection area, they're very light gray. They're very light gray. I'm going to add some retouches of diluted red, which is pink for this overflowing syrup area. Okay, wait for that to dry before adding contrast. So now I want to add a bit of contrast for the coconut chips. So orange mixed with burnt sienna. So orange and burnt sienna. I'm going to just add these ones. Yeah. More definitions. There's no need to rush to finish all of your clear definitions right away in one layer. Okay, gonna get these little chips in. There's a mix of orange and burnt sienna. Skipping around in between. Yeah, my brush stroke is very choppy. I'm holding it very much like close to 90 degrees sometimes. Most of the time it's 45 degrees. So the painting process is always a process of practicing your mindfulness. You have to be always aware of how you're holding your brush and your hand pressure to create these beautiful lines and dots, punches. So now I actually mixed a little bit more burnt sienna. So this part is shaded. Well, first I'm going to start with orange and burnt sienna. And orange brown first in diluted version. If you dilute your orange brown and brown, it won't look too harsh on top of that first layer. Just a very mild shade. Some people are telling me they're having very harsh brush marks. It's because your layer, because your paint is too intense. You need to dilute it a little bit with water. Yep, there we go. Just to create the loose chips of coconut attached to the outside of the cake. Okay, and people from Japan, Erica, welcome. Yeah, thank you everyone for your attention. I'm going to have a little bit more definition for the syrupy area here. It's very transparent. So I'm preserving that first layer on the edge there a little untouched. The dripping syrupy area. A little bit royal purple into the red. Okay, so these white streaks and the lighter values of pink is pretty important to create an illusion of this shiny area, the syrup glaze. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a little bit more definition of dark pink purple values using very careful brush marks. All right, and now I'm gonna glaze a little bit of yellow ochre onto some of these whipped cream areas. Because white is always a very interesting color. It's always reflecting its own environment. Colors like yellow is being reflected onto here. and around these areas. There we go. So it looks a bit more appetizing to eat. Yeah, a little bit contrast for the cream area. There you go. I think that's good. I'm not gonna overshade it with the medium or dark gray for the cream area, just to make it clean, but still defined with the shaded, with the sense of shade. Okay, so now I want to intensify just the shadow and we're good. Yeah, there should be a very light shadow of leftover lime green and viridian green. Okay, shadow of the tray is glowing. So the first thing that I want to do when I'm painting my shadow is the reflective color of that object onto the tabletop. And then cobalt blue mixed with royal purple. Yeah, again, the shadow is very mild for something glass or plastic. Just a little bit. And let it flow. Last bit of intense turquoise. Goes along the edge for higher contrast to push the cake out from the tray. Okay, there we go. I think that's it for today's demo. I don't want to overwork on it. I think once if I capture the essence, the taste of that food or drink, I'm just gonna stop. Okay, there we go. And there's Rowena. Yes, welcome. It's okay. You can always watch the replay if you came in late. Just gonna kind of quit over here. If you really like my teaching style, and you're finding these live sessions very, very helpful, you can consider joining my weekend sketching classes live on Zoom. I'm gonna do that every Saturday and Sunday live on Zoom in January. I've been teaching these live classes actually very secretly. I don't do a lot of advertising on Zoom for 2 years already. So I've got like hundreds of students from all over the world joining these live classes that I teach on Zoom every weekend. If you're interested, I'm going to just share the link with you to register. Just gonna go to my Ko-fi page. Oh, I think I can do share screen. Share screen over here and share. So basically, you can go to your browser and type in coffee.com/Becky, and you're going to find my page, or you can Google it. There we go. So that's my Ko-fi page. It's a website where artists can sell their stuff, like classes or other kind of products, merchandise, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's my Ko-fi page, and on the main page I have a shop. So you can just go click onto it, go to shop. There we go. And I have these classes that you can register for. This one is the January Sunday sketch class. There are 4 sessions in January. Each session is about an hour, 40 minutes long or so. Yeah, a little longer than this live session. We'll be sketching like a couple of things, 2 or 3 things on the Sunday class. So this one is probably like one example live session. And then I have a Saturday's beginners class that happens every Saturday. This is the January one, January 2024. And again, there are 4 live sessions in January. Each one is about an hour, 40 minutes long or so. Yeah, I'm trying to make these classes a little bit shorter because in over the past 2 years, it's been pretty long, sometimes over 2 hours long. And most people get very tired around the 1 hour, 45 minute mark. So I'm gonna aim to make these classes a little shorter, no longer than 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, so about the same length as this live session. Okay, and yeah, so if you're interested, you can consider joining one of these classes that I teach live on Zoom every weekend throughout the year. Okay, if you're busy in January, that's okay. You can always check it out later in the year. Okay, and I'm gonna stop sharing now. At pin, that's good. And now is it's time to say goodbye, and I'll see you in the new video very soon after New Year's Day. So I'm gonna take a break, get ready for the next year of teaching. And then after New Year's Day, probably next Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm going to upload another new tutorial video. Okay, can't wait to do that. And thank you for joining the live session, everyone. And also, let's see, Miss Lulu say, oh, I'm going to join your class. Great New Year's resolutions. Yeah. So again, drawing and painting for me, it doesn't have to be professional. All right. It's just a way for us to calm down in the busy world that sometimes can be really overwhelming and distracting. So it's a way to find our inner peace by drawing, by making each line and shapes and then adding those bits of colors onto our drawing. Is a great way to calm down our spirit. Okay, lovely. Okay, so all right. If you have any questions, just feel free to leave a comment in the replay of this live session, and I'll be able to answer you in the next few days. All right, in the next few days. So happy New Year, everyone. All right, happy New Year, and I will see some of you in the in my virtual sketch class in January on a weekend. Thank you, Mickey, and everyone else for joining. Okay, cool. Bye, everyone. Bye, Britta. Thank you for following through this live session.